So this video is going to be about why I joined the Marines and why I wanted to join the military, why the Marines, but it's a long story and this is the long version. So yeah, stay tuned if you want to know why. But so for a lot of years of my life, the military has been a kind of fascinating thing for me, especially as a little teenage me. I was super shy. I just sat in my little bubble and kind of ignored the world. So the military was always something that didn't seem like a probability for me, especially when I was little. But as I grew older, I started to gain a little more confidence, get a little bit out of my shell. I'm still shyer than a lot of people, and I still get kind of anxious talking to people I don't know or in social situations sometimes, but not so much that I have crippling anxiety from it. Not even so much I would call it anxiety. But it started about my sophomore year of high school. I met a friend in my weightlifting class at Sam Barlow, and she was talking about how she was joining the Marines. She was a senior, I was a sophomore. And so we talked a lot about that. At that time, I had a lot of hopes and dreams. I was thinking about the military. I had no idea which branch, and I wanted to do law enforcement afterwards. My dream was like being an FBI agent, like doing all that, going completely nuts about it. But that was my dream. And yes, dreams change, but the military hasn't. She really influenced my views and really helped me decide which branch I wanted to go into. Yes, it was still the Marines like she did as well, but it really helped me make that decision. So it wasn't until last September of 2019 that I got in contact with my recruiter, and I was distinctly remember it was like a few weeks before my recruiter reached out to me that I went on their website and I wanted to learn more. I had gone to the office, actually, the recruiting office, several times because I thought it was like a hot buy situation, and nobody answered the door. And so either they were busy or they weren't comfortable answering the door to me. I don't know. But I eventually got in contact with them. And so I remember distinctly when my recruiter reached out to me while I was in Disneyland. Interesting story, but he had me answer all these questions, and I was pretty much set to come in and talk to him. So I did that, and I had a lot of questions. You should have a lot of questions. Don't feel bad about having a lot of questions, because I actually feel like I should have had more questions, because there's still a lot of things that I don't know that I feel like I should know. So go there. If you're looking into the military, go to a recruiter with a ton of questions, a ton of questions, because they will love answering them. They'll also, if a recruiter gets a little uncomfortable answering them, that's how you can tell that they're not really sure, or they don't know if their answer is gonna persuade you or push you away. And so if you get one of those kinds of answers, go look into it yourself. So one thing that I learned as I was going about talking to my recruiter is that everybody told me that recruiters lie and persuade you and sweet talk you. I really didn't have that experience. I trust my recruiter. I feel like he's very trustworthy, but I can't say that about all the recruiters, and I don't blame them. That's how they make their money. And not saying that they would lie horribly to you, telling you that you're gonna have like such an easy time at boot camp and you're gonna just have a blast and it's basically a party the entire time. No, like if a recruiter does that, that's awful. Like, they're gonna get called out so fast. Because you should know that it's going to be hard, and a recruiter is going to tell you it's going to be hard. But they're also going to tell you that you can do it. That by coming there, that you've already made the decision. That you've already had the courage to come and start it. So, one thing about talking to recruiters, don't rely on everything they say. Always check what they say with another source. So I talked to several Marines or past Marines about things, and from what I've heard from them, my recruiter isn't telling me anything that is a lie or that I shouldn't trust. So, and that's frankly all around with most Marines. I've heard of other branches that have kind of sketchy recruiting officers, but I'm not going to judge. Like, that's, I know there's always different situations all around the board. So, but anyways, I then in October, I was talking to my recruiter for a while. I was really sad about it. My parents were not. My parents hated it. My parents did not want me doing it. They thought I had no idea what I was doing, and my mom was super worried. So, like any parent would be. The only problem that I had is that they weren't going about it in the best way. They're just trying to dissuade me from it. And so what ended up happening is I went through a really emotional and traumatic experience of losing my boyfriend. Left to go on a mission. And for those of you who don't know, my church missions are 2 years long with hardly any contact. You get to email them once a week, which was really, really hard for me, going from seeing him every single day, for him being my support and my best friend through everything, and then to him not being there at all. So it was really emotional for me during that time, and I had all this pressure from my parents, and I didn't have hardly any friends. So I ended up telling my recruiter that I wasn't able to do it anymore, that I couldn't imagine leaving my boyfriend who I could end up with again. I couldn't imagine leaving my loved ones again to go be deployed or anything of the sort. And it was not a decision I should have made that lightly. I should have definitely taken more time, but I was in such emotional stress that I couldn't handle my recruiter. I couldn't handle texting him or talking to anybody at that point. It was really, I know, like, a lot of girls especially have they're completely fine with it. They are completely happy when their boyfriends leave on their missions, but I was a mess. And so I told him that, and I started looking into colleges, and I ended up deciding that I wanted to be a sonographer. So, an ultrasound technician, if you guys don't know what that means. I have a aunt who is one, so I went to her work several times. But as I looked into colleges, I started to get even more stressed. I was so overwhelmed by the amount of choices I had. The stress of how I was ever going to be able to afford it was immense, and I had even more problems with my parents over the fact of them not helping pay for my college at all, and it was so stressful for me. And so I ended up finding out that I could do what was called the Marine Reserves. And sorry, it took me a while to figure out that word, Marine Reserves. And so it was only 1 week in a month. I still had to go to boot camp, but it was only 1 week in a month and 2 weeks during the summer. And I was like, oh, that's great. Like, I still have involvement without being deployed as much. Of course, if war comes, you're gonna be the second there, but it was still better. So, an amazing thing. I had no idea about them. I also didn't know much about the military at all. So it was really cool to do that. and I decided to do that. But as I slowly got more into it, I slowly talked to my recruiter more. I was slowly getting more involved in the Marines. I decided that I wanted to be in full time. It was my dream, it was my passion, and it would be hard like anything else, but I decided that's what I wanted to do. And so I decided that around February or January, February, right after I went to MEPS, and I'll do a full in-depth video about MEPS and what the heck that is and what the heck you're doing, because I had no idea, and I wish there was a video to tell me, but there was not. So that is my experience. It was very long, very complicated. So sadly, there's if I was my last term was really hard. I'm in college as well as being a high school student, and I was working about 30 hours a week. It was really stressful, and so I did not have a lot of time to work out and get myself prepared. And you need that time. So if your life is really stressful, try and figure out a way to make it less so, to give yourself some more time to do those things, because it's really important that you prepare yourself if you're looking into the military. So just that is my story. Why the Marines? I looked into all the branches. I actually didn't talk to any other recruiters because, once again, everybody told me recruiters lie to you and you can't trust them, and so I didn't. I didn't really want to talk to other recruiters, and due to my religion, I prayed a lot about it. I'm not going to tell you guys to go and do that if you guys don't, because that would be weird. I'm going to be honest, that's weird. I'm not going to go tell you to pray about something if you guys don't believe in praying. So that's what I did, though, and that's what gave me my mental relief of figuring out which branch to join and all of that. It was a big decision, one that nobody should take lightly. But once again, joining the military, every branch is good. I'm never going to say that one branch is bad or evil and that nobody should ever join it, because it's not like that. There's going to be bad people and bad things that happen in every single part of your life. Whether you go to the military, you go to college, whether you don't go to college, whether you have this job or that, or are with this person or that person, it's gonna happen. And so I'm not gonna say that Marines are better, because I know they're not better than any other branch. They're all have their strengths and weaknesses. So if you are looking into it, don't take the decision lightly. Just go with your gut. Go with all of the information that you learn and talk to as many people as you can. So thank you guys. I'll see you next week. Bye.